It's early July and you might find yourself thinking, I've missed the season, I can't plant anything.
But that couldn't be further from the truth.
So in today's video, we're giving you 5 perfect plants that you can put in your garden right now, no matter where you live. Our first crop is one that doesn't need any special seed starting equipment. You don't need a trellis of any kind. It's prolific, delicious, and nutritious. And that crop is the humble bean.
One of my favorite bush beans is the contender. This is a very dependable variety that does well in heat and other environments. And it's really great to actually use beans to fill in any empty spots in your garden. So right now between these peppers, I could throw these beans in and still get a second harvest. And by the time the peppers are actually nice and tall, the beans will be ready to start harvesting.
The variety I like this season is called Gold Rush. It has these beautiful sort of goldish yellow bean pods, but it's actually resistant to a ton of diseases. So this is how you would plant it if you want to pop it into a raised bed in its own dedicated area. But these are also great container plants. So don't be afraid if you don't have a space to have a raised bed. You can just do it in a container. So here's what I do. You just pull a furrow down with your finger, give the soil a little karate chop, and do it over here as well to about an inch or so. And then just drop a seed every 4 inches, just like this. And then you just cover it up and water it in. And that's all you have to do. You'll have beans coming up in no time. Our next plant is one that a lot of gardeners think is the plant to grow in summer, and they think that if you miss the season, you're completely screwed and there's nothing you can do. And you might think you see it in this very shot, but you couldn't be further from the truth. And that plant is a determinate tomato.
And determinate tomatoes are really different than those pole or indeterminates because they don't grow forever. They generally all harvest at once and they don't really need that much support.
That's why they're the perfect choice to plant right now in early July. The one I'm going with is called Supremo. It's a 68-day saucing or paste style tomato. So if I plant this in, and we do recommend not direct sowing your tomatoes, put them in some kind of seed starting tray. We have our Epic 6L trays here, which we're always releasing fun colors of. And this is a great one to grab some sauce at the end of the season. So what do you got, Jacques?
I have one that I actually haven't tried growing before, which is called Patio Choice Yellow. The cool thing about this one is that it says it's ready after 45 days from transplant.
Wow.
And you could even grow it in a tiny basket or like 1 gallon pot. And you'll get tons of tiny tomatoes that actually won the AAS selection award, which means that it tastes good and it has a lot of disease resistance.
Perfect. And so all you need to do is just grab some sort of tray, put it in maybe 1/8 of an inch below the soil, cover it up, get it nice and moist, and you're good to go with this beautiful midsummer crop. This next crop is one that is near and dear to my heart, especially this season. You see our Epic hens in the coop behind me. Unfortunately, we lost one of the original 6, Gucci, my gold-laced Wyandotte, and I actually buried her right here, about 2 feet below this selection to plant in early July, in the hopes that I could reuse her body, right? The way that nature intended to grow this beautiful pumpkin.
This probably isn't the pumpkin you're thinking of, and it's the red curry squash. I grow it because it tastes better and it's more useful in cooking. So the way I like to grow my squash is actually just direct sowing them. I'm going to be doing it on this cattle panel trellis. The idea here is that by putting the seed straight down into the ground, it'll start climbing this trellis and then there'll be tons of pumpkins hanging down throughout the season. But there is actually a way to make these grow even faster.
So my selection is classically considered a pumpkin. It is the Lumina variety, and it's a 90-day crop. So even right now, in most areas of the world, you can get this in the ground, and I'll show you exactly how to do it. So with pumpkins, if you're going directly in the ground and not growing it up a trellis, you can plant it in a mound, and that would be 2 or 3 seeds per mound. So grab a handful. This one will plant 3 mounds worth. And the little trick that Jacques mentioned is very handy when you have these large seeds. All you need to do is take a look for the pointy side of the seed, grab some snips, and very carefully just snip off a tiny amount, almost the smallest amount you can cut off of the tip of the seed. What that does is it allows moisture to get in quicker and speeds up germination, which is really important when you're planting later in the season, like we are with this early July planting. So what you can do is snip the tip of the 3, pop them in here, and then go ahead and cover them up, and they'll grow and sprawl like crazy. Our next selection is one that many gardeners often neglect, but it really is the Robin to the classic garden crops Batman. It's the biggest bang for buck in your garden, and it also adds by far the most flavor, and that would be herbs.
The herb that I'm growing is tetradill. If you've grown dill before, you've normally seen it go to flower and you get all those seed heads, which are great, but sometimes I actually want to eat the actual leaf. So tetradill produces more leaves, it's heat resistant, bolt tolerant, It's just a great all-around dill.
The one that I've chosen is, you might say boring, you might say classic, you might say, why did you even pick this, Kevin? But it is basil. It's just not any normal basil. The Genovese varieties are great, they're classic, but I've gone with Everleaf Emerald Towers, and I'll tell you why. The reason is because a lot of people struggle not only with basil getting disease, but with basil flowering. And this is a columnar style that really has a lot of leaf growth and not flower growth. In fact, the flower growth is stalled for about 3 months longer than the average basil. And that's why I chose it to plant right now. The only thing I'll say about actually, Jacques, both your dill and my basil is, while we do recommend starting them in seed trays, they can take a little bit longer to start than your average plant. So just have some patience, but once you get them in the ground and transplant, you'll have them for many, many months to come. You've seen this next plant throughout the entire video. You just didn't know it. This is a North American native that has gorgeous flowers, but we often think about eating it for its seeds, something that I actually ate when I played baseball as a kid. And funnily enough, you can actually eat the entire thing. That plant, of course, is the sunflower.
Sunflowers are prolific self-seeders, and in fact, almost every single sunflower you see in this garden was actually sown by birds. And actually, my two favorite types of sunflowers to grow are the kind that have a lot of colors and a lot of branching. Evening sun is a really wonderful color, and the cool thing about sunflowers is that they're actually extremely drought tolerant. If you take a look at how giant that sunflower is, there is no irrigation there, and it's growing just fine. The way you want to grow sunflowers is generally direct seeding, because they have a taproot, and they'll just get their full, bigger potential if you put them right in the spot where you want them to grow.
The beauty of sunflowers is their variety. This one is Lemon Queen, one of my favorites. You actually see it behind me right here. And then Sunspot, which is a dwarf variety, but still has a nice big head, so good for a container gardener. And of course, these are all available at Botanical Interests, our seed company. So you know how to start these seeds we just recommended, but do you know how to get them all the way to bloom? Right here, we'll show you how to do that with sunflowers. Good luck in the garden, and keep on growing.